When Rosa Chen walked into Michael Jordan's office that morning, her hands were shaking. She had practiced what she would say 100 times in the bathroom mirror. Today was the day she would finally ask for a raise. Rosa had been cooking Michael Jordan's meals for 3 years. Yes, the Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever. And she made his breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. But Rosa had a problem. A big problem. Her 11-year-old daughter Lily was sick, really sick. The medicine Lily needed cost more money every month, and Rosa's rent had just gone up $600. When Rosa did the math at her kitchen table late at night, the numbers never worked out. She was $300 short every single month. So Rosa took a deep breath and knocked on Michael's office door. Her heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. "Come in," Michael's voice called. Rosa walked in and stood in front of his desk. "Mr. Jordan, I need to ask you something important." Michael looked up from his computer. His eyes were sharp and focused. "What's up, Rosa?" "I've been working for you for 3 years. I'm always on time. I never miss a day. I always cook exactly what you want." Rosa's voice was shaking, but she kept going. "I need to ask for a raise." Michael didn't look angry. He didn't look surprised. He just looked at her thoughtfully and said, "Tell me why." So Rosa told him everything. About Lily's disease, about the medical bills, about how she couldn't afford everything anymore, about how scared she was. Michael listened to every word. Then he was quiet for what felt like forever. Rosa counted her heartbeats. 20, 50, 100. Finally, Michael looked at her and said 5 words that made Rosa's stomach drop. "I'll think about it, Rosa." That was it, just those 5 words. Then he went back to eating his breakfast like nothing had happened. Rosa walked back to the kitchen feeling confused and terrified. Had she just made the biggest mistake of her life? Would he fire her? What would happen to Lily if she lost this job? But Rosa had no idea that Michael Jordan's real answer would be something she never could have imagined. Something that would change not just her life, but her daughter's life and the lives of hundreds of families she hadn't even met yet. What Michael did next shocked everyone, and it started with 2 words Rosa never expected to hear. Watch this whole video to find out what Michael Jordan's response really was, and how one conversation in his office led to something absolutely incredible. Rosa Chen's hands moved like they had 100 times before. Crack the eggs, whisk them smooth, heat the pan to exactly medium. She glanced at the clock on the wall, 6:47 a.m. Michael Jordan would finish his workout in 13 minutes, and his breakfast needed to be perfect. The kitchen was bigger than Rosa's entire apartment. Marble counters stretched along 3 walls. Stainless steel appliances gleamed under soft lights. Through the wide windows, she could see the morning sun painting the Chicago sky pink and orange. But Rosa wasn't looking at the view. She was thinking about numbers, bills, doctor appointments, the rent notice tucked in her purse that said her payment would go up again next month. Her daughter Lily needed new medicine. The old one wasn't working anymore. The new one cost $300 more each month. Rosa had done the math last night at her kitchen table. She'd done it 5 times, hoping the numbers would change. They never did. She plated Michael's eggs beside whole wheat toast and fresh fruit. Everything arranged just right. She'd learned that Mr. Jordan liked his food simple but perfect. No fancy decorations, no extra sauce, just good food, made right every single time. Rosa heard footsteps coming down the hallway. Her heart started beating faster. She wiped her hands on her white apron. Today had to be the day. She'd waited 3 weeks already, practicing what she'd say in the mirror each morning. But every time she saw Michael, the words stuck in her throat like peanut butter. Not today. Today she'd be brave. For Lily. Michael walked into the kitchen, a towel around his neck, wearing a gray workout shirt dark with sweat. Even after all this time, Rosa still felt a little starstruck. This was Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever. And she cooked his eggs. "Morning, Rosa," he said, heading to the breakfast table. "Good morning, Mr. Jordan." Her voice came out steady. "Good. Your breakfast is ready." He sat down and picked up his fork. Rosa poured his coffee, black, no sugar, and set it beside his plate. This was usually when she'd go back to cleaning the kitchen, but her feet wouldn't move. "Mr. Jordan?" The words tumbled out before she could stop them. Could I talk to you for a minute?" Michael looked up. His eyes were sharp even after a hard workout. They were the eyes that had stared down opponents in championship games. Rosa felt her courage wobbling. "Sure," he said, setting down his fork. "What's on your mind?" Rosa's mouth went dry. She thought about Lily, asleep in their small apartment across town. She thought about the medical bills stacked on the counter. She thought about how she'd worked for Michael for 3 years and never asked for anything extra. "I need to ask you something important," she began. Her hands twisted the dish towel she was holding. "I've been working for you for 3 years now. I'm always on time. I never miss a day. I always cook exactly what you want." Michael nodded slowly. "That's true. You do good work, Rosa." "Thank you, sir." She took a deep breath. This was it. "I need to ask for a raise." The words hung in the air between them. Michael's face didn't change. He didn't look angry. He didn't look surprised. He just looked thoughtful. "Tell me why," he said. Rosa felt tears trying to push into her eyes, but she blinked them back. "My daughter Lily, she has a medical condition. It's expensive, and my rent went up, and everything costs more now than when I started. I'm trying so hard, but the money runs out before the month does." She stopped, afraid she'd said too much, afraid she sounded like she was begging. But she was begging, wasn't she? Because she didn't know what else to do. Michael picked up his coffee cup and took a slow sip. He looked out the window at the morning sky. Rosa counted her heartbeats. 1, 2, 3, 20, 50. Finally, Michael set down his cup and looked directly at her. "I'll think about it, Rosa." That was all. 5 words. Then he picked up his fork and went back to eating his eggs. Rosa stood frozen for a moment. She'd expected something more. A yes, a no, numbers, a discussion, but just, "I'll think about it." "Thank you, sir," she managed to say. She walked back to the kitchen counter, her legs feeling wobbly. She started washing the pans she'd used, but her hands were shaking. Had she just made the biggest mistake of her life? Would he fire her? What would she do then? Rosa glanced back at Michael. He was eating calmly, reading something on his phone, like their conversation had never happened. She turned back to the sink and whispered to herself, "Please, please let this work out." But she had no idea that Michael Jordan's answer would change her life in ways she couldn't possibly imagine. Rosa couldn't stop thinking about that conversation as she drove home that evening. Her old Honda made a clicking sound every time she turned left. She needed to get it fixed, but that cost money too. Everything cost money. She pulled into the parking lot of her apartment building. It wasn't fancy. The paint was peeling on the outside walls. Sometimes the heat didn't work right in winter, but it was home, and it was close to Lily's school. Rosa climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor and unlocked apartment 3B. The moment she opened the door, she heard her daughter's voice. "Mommy!" Lily came running from the living room. She was small for 11 years old, with black hair pulled into a ponytail and eyes that sparkled even when she was tired. She crashed into Rosa's arms for a hug. "How was school, baby?" Rosa asked, holding her tight. "Good. I got a B+ on my science test. And guess what? Mrs. Patterson said my drawing was the best in the whole class." Rosa's heart squeezed. Lily always found things to be happy about, even on days when she didn't feel well. Even on days when they had to go to the hospital for treatments. Mrs. Chen, Rosa's neighbor from down the hall, appeared from the kitchen. She watched Lily after school when Rosa was working. "She had a good day today," Mrs. Chen said with a warm smile. "Ate all her snack, did her homework. Very good girl." "Thank you so much," Rosa said, pulling out $20 from her wallet. It was all she could afford to pay Mrs. Chen each day. After Mrs. Chen left, Rosa made dinner, chicken stir-fry with vegetables and rice. Simple food, but healthy. While Lily set the table, Rosa's mind drifted back 3 years to the day that changed everything. She'd been working 3 jobs back then. Early mornings at a catering company, afternoons delivering groceries, weekends cooking at Jimmy's Diner downtown. She barely slept. She barely saw Lily. But the bills kept coming. Lily had been 8 years old when the doctors finally figured out what was wrong. An autoimmune disease with a long name Rosa could barely pronounce. Lily's own body was attacking itself. She needed medicine. Special treatments. Doctor visits every week. Rosa's husband Marcus couldn't handle it. He looked at the medical bills, looked at their daughter in the hospital bed, and said, "I can't do this." 3 weeks later, he was gone. Just like that. 7 years of marriage erased. Rosa had cried for one night. Then she got up the next morning and went to work. Because Lily needed her. And Rosa would do anything for her daughter. The catering job was how she met Michael Jordan. Her boss, Mr. Patterson, got a call for a big private event at a fancy house in Highland Park. Some rich person's party. They needed extra hands. Rosa volunteered because it paid double. When she arrived at the address and saw the house, her jaw dropped. It was like a mansion from a movie. 3 stories tall, a circular driveway, huge windows everywhere. "Stay in the kitchen," Mr. Patterson told his team. "Do your work, don't bother the guests, and definitely don't bother the host." Rosa spent 4 hours in that kitchen, helping prepare food for 200 people. But she noticed something. All the fancy dishes were the same. Boring rich people food, dry chicken, bland vegetables. No flavor, no heart. During a break, Rosa spotted some ingredients in the pantry that nobody was using. Ginger, garlic, soy sauce, sesame oil. Without really thinking about it, she made a small dish, Asian fusion salmon with a honey ginger glaze and crispy vegetables. It was something her grandmother taught her to make, something that tasted like home. She plated it beautifully and set it aside, planning to eat it for her own dinner later. But then Mr. Patterson came rushing into the kitchen, his face red. "Who made the salmon dish? The one on the small plate by the window?" Rosa's heart sank. She'd used ingredients without asking. She was going to get fired. "I did," she said quietly. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. The host wants to meet you, now." Rosa followed Mr. Patterson through the massive house, her hands shaking. They walked into a home office where a tall man stood looking out the window. He turned around, and Rosa nearly fainted. Michael Jordan? She was standing in Michael Jordan's house. She'd used Michael Jordan's ingredients, and apparently he'd eaten her food. "You made this?" he asked, pointing to the empty plate on his desk. Rosa nodded, unable to speak. "This is the best food I've had in months," Michael said. His voice was calm, direct. "Everything out there tastes like cardboard. This actually has flavor. How'd you learn to cook like this?" Rosa found her voice. "My grandmother. She was from Beijing. She taught me." Michael studied her for a moment. "You looking for work?" Rosa blinked. What? I need a personal chef. Someone who can make food that doesn't bore me to death. You interested?" Rosa's mind spun. Yes. Michael picked up a business card and wrote a number on the back. "Call this number tomorrow. We'll talk details." 2 weeks later, Rosa started working as Michael Jordan's personal chef. The salary was more money than she'd ever made in her life, more than all 3 of her old jobs combined. She could finally breathe. She could pay Lily's medical bills on time. She could afford their apartment without constantly worrying. She even started a small savings account, just $200, but it felt like a fortune. For the first time since Marcus left, Rosa felt like maybe everything would be okay. "Mommy, you okay?" Rosa blinked. She was standing at the sink, holding a dish under running water, lost in memories. Lily was looking at her with concerned eyes. "I'm fine, baby, just thinking." They ate dinner together, Lily chattering about school and her friends. After dinner, they did Lily's homework at the kitchen table. Math problems, reading questions. Rosa helped with the hard parts. Later, after Lily brushed her teeth and climbed into bed, Rosa sat beside her. "Mommy," Lily said sleepily, "are you worried about something?" Rosa stroked her daughter's hair. "What makes you say that? You have your worried face, the one where your eyebrows scrunch up." Rosa tried to smile. "I talked to Mr. Jordan today about something important. I'm just waiting to hear what he says." "Is it bad?" "I don't know yet, sweetie." Lily reached out and squeezed Rosa's hand. "It'll be okay, Mommy. You always make things okay." Rosa kissed her forehead. "Get some sleep, baby." After Lily drifted off, Rosa went back to the kitchen table. She pulled out the stack of bills from her purse and spread them across the table. Rent notice. Going up $600 next month. Lily's new medicine, $300 more than the old prescription. Electric bill, water bill, car insurance. She added up the numbers on a piece of paper. Then she looked at her paycheck amount. The math didn't work. Even with her current salary, she'd be $300 short each month. And that was if nothing unexpected happened. If the car didn't break down, if Lily didn't need extra doctor visits, if nothing went wrong. Rosa put her head in her hands. She'd asked for the raise. Now she had to wait for Michael's answer. But what if he said no? What if he said yes, but it wasn't enough? What if he fired her for asking? She looked at Lily's drawing on the refrigerator, 2 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. The words at the bottom said, "Mommy, you're my superhero." Rosa wiped her eyes. She wasn't a superhero. She was just a tired woman trying to keep her daughter healthy and safe. But she'd keep fighting. She always did. She just hoped Michael Jordan would understand. The next morning, Rosa arrived at Michael's house at 6 o'clock sharp, just like always. Her stomach felt tight with worry. She'd barely slept, tossing and turning, imagining 100 different conversations. She unlocked the kitchen door with her key and turned on the lights. Everything looked the same as yesterday. Same marble counters, same gleaming appliances. But something felt different. Or maybe that was just her nerves. Rosa started making breakfast. Scrambled eggs, turkey bacon, fresh orange juice. Her hands worked on autopilot while her mind raced. Michael came down at 7 o'clock, right on schedule. He wore black workout clothes and had his phone in his hand. "Morning, Rosa," he said. "Good morning, Mr. Jordan." He sat down at the table. Rosa brought him his plate. He started eating, looking at his phone. Not a word about their conversation yesterday. Not a single word. Rosa cleaned the kitchen, her ears straining for any hint that he wanted to talk. But Michael finished his breakfast, said, "Thanks, Rosa," and walked out. That was it. Rosa stood in the empty kitchen, feeling confused and worried. Did he forget? Was he avoiding the conversation? Had he already decided to say no? The whole day dragged by. Rosa prepared Michael's lunch, grilled chicken salad with light dressing. She made his afternoon snack, apple slices with almond butter. She started prep work for dinner. Michael ate everything without comment. Polite thank yous, normal small talk about the weather, but nothing about the raise, nothing about their conversation. By the time Rosa drove home that evening, her worry had grown into a heavy weight in her chest. Day 2 was exactly the same. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, normal routine. Michael was friendly but distant. He didn't mention the raise. Rosa didn't dare bring it up again. That night, Lily noticed something was wrong. "Mommy, you're being quiet," she said during dinner. "Just tired, baby. Are you sick? Do you need medicine like me?" Rosa forced a smile. "No, sweetie, I'm fine. Just a long day at work." But she wasn't fine. She was scared. Every hour that passed without an answer felt like the answer itself. No. Day 3 was Wednesday. Rosa made Michael's favorite breakfast, vegetable omelet with whole grain toast. She arranged everything perfectly on the plate. When Michael came down, he seemed to be in a good mood. He was humming something under his breath. "Smells great, Rosa," he said, sitting down. "Thank you, sir." He took a bite. "Perfect, as always." Rosa's heart jumped. Was this it? Would he finally say something? But Michael just kept eating, scrolling through his phone. Minutes passed. He finished his breakfast, wiped his mouth with a napkin, and stood up. "Thanks, Rosa. I've got meetings all day. I probably won't be back for lunch." And then he was gone. Rosa sank into a chair after he left. 3 days. 3 whole days of silence. Maybe she'd made a terrible mistake. Maybe she should just forget the whole thing and be grateful for what she had. But then she thought about the bills on her kitchen table, the math that didn't work, Lily's medicine that cost more every month. She couldn't forget it. She needed that raise. Wednesday afternoon, Rosa was chopping vegetables for dinner when her phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. "This is Jennifer, Mr. Jordan's assistant. He'd like to see you in his office at 4 p.m. today." Rosa's hands started shaking so badly she had to put down the knife. This was it. 4 p.m. in 2 hours. He was finally going to give her an answer. The next 2 hours crawled by like snails. Rosa cleaned the already clean kitchen 3 times. She checked her reflection in the window, making sure she looked professional. She rehearsed what she'd say. If he said yes, "Thank you so much, Mr. Jordan. I really appreciate it." If he said no, "I understand. Thank you for considering it." If he fired her, "I'm so sorry. Please, I need this job. I'll never ask again." At 3:55 p.m., Rosa walked down the long hallway to Michael's home office. Her legs felt wobbly, like they might give out any second. She stopped outside his door and took 3 deep breaths. Then she knocked. "Come in," Michael's voice called. Rosa opened the door. Michael sat behind a huge wooden desk covered with papers and a laptop. The walls were lined with basketball trophies and framed jerseys. Photos of him with famous people hung everywhere. "Have a seat, Rosa," he said, pointing to a chair across from his desk. Rosa sat down. Her hands gripped the armrest so tight her knuckles turned white. Michael leaned back in his chair. He looked directly at her with those sharp, intelligent eyes. The same eyes that had stared down opponents in championship games. The same eyes that had built a business empire. "I've been thinking about what you said," he began. Rosa's heart hammered so hard she could hear it in her ears. "You've worked for me for 3 years. You've never been late, never called in sick, never complained. The food you make is excellent. I appreciate that kind of dedication." Rosa's hope started to rise. This sounded good. This sounded like yes. "Here's the thing, Rosa," Michael continued. "When someone asks me for something, I need to know the real reason, not just the surface reason, the deep down, honest truth." Rosa swallowed hard. "I told you, sir. My daughter's medical bills. I know, but tell me more. Help me understand your situation completely." So Rosa told him everything. She told him about Lily's diagnosis when she was 8, about Marcus leaving, about working 3 jobs and barely seeing her daughter, about the catering event where Michael discovered her cooking. She told him about the new medicine that cost $300 more, about the rent increase, about lying awake at night, doing math that never worked out right, about skipping meals sometimes so Lily could have enough. By the end, tears were running down Rosa's face. She wiped them away quickly, embarrassed. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't mean to cry." "Don't apologize," Michael said quietly. That took courage to share. He was quiet for a moment, thinking. Rosa held her breath. Then Michael asked her something she didn't expect at all. "If money wasn't a problem, if you had all the money you needed, what would you do with your life?" Rosa blinked. I don't understand what you mean." "Humor me," Michael said. "Forget about bills for a minute. Forget about struggling. If you could do anything, what would it be?" Rosa had never thought about that question before. Her whole life was about surviving, not dreaming. But slowly an answer came to her. "I'd open a restaurant," she said softly. "A small place, not fancy, but special. A place where people with food allergies and medical conditions could eat safely. Like Lily. She can't eat at most restaurants because of her condition. I'd make a place where kids like her could have normal birthday parties, where families didn't have to worry." Michael nodded slowly. "That's a good dream." "It's just a dream, though," Rosa said quickly. "I know it's not realistic. I was just answering your question." Michael stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at his property for a long moment. Rosa sat frozen, waiting. Finally, he turned back to face her. "Here's what I'm going to do, Rosa. I'm not giving you a raise." Rosa's heart shattered into a million pieces. The room seemed to tilt sideways. She gripped the chair arms to steady herself. She'd failed. She'd asked for help and been rejected. What would she do now? How would she pay the bills? How would she— "Sit down," Michael said firmly. Rosa realized she'd started to stand up without meaning to. She sat back down, feeling numb. "I'm not finished," Michael continued. "I'm not giving you a raise because what you're asking for won't solve your real problem. A few $100s more a month? That'll help for now. But next year, costs will go up again, and you'll be right back where you started." Rosa didn't understand. If he wasn't giving her a raise, what was he saying? "So I'm going to do something different," Michael said, "but I need you to trust me for the next 6 months. Can you do that?" Rosa stared at him, completely confused. I, what do you mean? I mean, I have a plan, but it's going to take time, and I need you to trust the process. Can you do that? Rosa had no idea what he was talking about, but she looked into his eyes and saw something there. Something serious and certain. Yes, sir, she whispered. I can trust you. Michael nodded once. Good. Keep doing your job exactly like you have been, and be ready for some changes. That was all he said. The meeting was over. Rosa walked out of his office feeling more confused than ever. What did he mean? What kind of plan? What changes? She had no idea that her whole world was about to transform in ways she never could have imagined. Rosa couldn't sleep that night. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying Michael's words over and over in her mind. I'm not giving you a raise. Those words had felt like a punch to the stomach. But then he'd said something about a plan, about trusting him for 6 months. What did that mean? Rosa turned over and looked at the clock. 2:17 a.m. She had to be up in 3 hours to get to work, but her brain wouldn't stop spinning. Maybe he was letting her go slowly, giving her 6 months to find a new job. That would explain why he wouldn't just give her a raise. He didn't want to invest more money in someone who wouldn't be working for him much longer. Rosa's chest felt tight with panic. If she lost this job, she'd have to go back to working 3 jobs again. She'd barely see Lily, and even then, would it be enough? She finally fell asleep around 3 o'clock and woke up exhausted when her alarm buzzed at 5:30. At Michael's house that morning, everything seemed normal at first. Rosa made breakfast, oatmeal with berries and honey, just how he liked it. Michael came down at 7, ate quickly, and left for a meeting. But at 10 o'clock, something strange happened. A man in a gray suit knocked on the kitchen door. He was carrying a leather briefcase and had kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Ms. Chen, I'm Gerald Thompson. Mr. Jordan asked me to meet with you. Rosa wiped her flour-covered hands on her apron. She'd been making bread for Michael's lunch. I don't understand. Who are you? I'm Mr. Jordan's financial advisor. May I come in? Rosa's confusion grew, but she nodded and led him to the kitchen table. Gerald opened his briefcase and pulled out several folders. Mr. Jordan has asked me to review your financial situation and provide some guidance. I'll need you to share some personal information with me. Your income, expenses, debts, that sort of thing. Everything we discuss is completely confidential. Rosa felt her face get hot. He wants you to look at my finances? Only if you're comfortable with it, but he thought I might be able to help organize things. Make a plan. For the next 3 hours, Gerald asked Rosa questions about everything. How much was her rent? What were Lily's medical bills each month? Did she have any savings, any debt? What about car payments, insurance? Rosa felt embarrassed telling a stranger how little money she had, how she sometimes had to choose between buying groceries and filling up her gas tank, how she had $17 in her savings account. But Gerald didn't judge. He just wrote everything down in neat columns, nodding thoughtfully. Okay, he said finally. I'm going to work on some things. You'll hear from me again soon. Wait, Rosa said. What things? I don't understand what's happening. Gerald smiled gently. Mr. Jordan wants to help you get on solid financial ground. Just trust the process, Miss Chen. I promise it'll make sense soon. After he left, Rosa stood in the empty kitchen feeling more confused than ever. 2 days later, something even stranger happened. A woman called Rosa's cell phone during her lunch break. Ms. Chen, this is Dr. Patricia Okonkwo. I'm a specialist in autoimmune disorders at Chicago Medical Center. A colleague of mine asked me to review your daughter's case. Would you be willing to bring her in for a consultation? Rosa's hand tightened on her phone. How do you know about my daughter? Who told you about her? A friend of a friend, Dr. Okonkwo said warmly. I'd really like to help. There are some new treatment options I think might work well for Lily. Would next Tuesday work for an appointment? How much does it cost? Rosa asked quietly. This was always the first question, always the most important one. Let's not worry about that right now. Let's just see what we can do for Lily. Rosa wanted to argue, but something in Dr. Okonkwo's voice made her agree. They scheduled an appointment for the following Tuesday at 4 o'clock. After she hung up, Rosa immediately went to find Michael. He was in his home gym, running on a treadmill. Mr. Jordan, Rosa called from the doorway. He slowed the treadmill to a stop and grabbed a towel. "What's up, Rosa? Did you have something to do with a doctor calling me about Lily?" Michael took a drink of water. "A doctor called you?" "Dr. Patricia Okonkwo. She wants to see Lily. She said a friend told her about Lily's case." Michael shrugged. "I might have mentioned your daughter's situation to someone who knows some doctors. Is that a problem?" Rosa's eyes filled with tears. "I can't afford a specialist, Mr. Jordan. The appointment will probably cost—" "Rosa!" Michael's voice was firm, but not unkind. "Remember what I said? Trust the process. Take Lily to the appointment. See what the doctor says. Don't worry about the cost right now. But trust me," he repeated. "That's all I'm asking." Rosa nodded slowly and went back to the kitchen. She didn't understand what was happening, but for the first time in years, she felt a tiny spark of something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. The following Tuesday, Rosa took Lily to see Dr. Okonkwo. The medical center was in a fancy part of town, with tall glass buildings and a fountain in front. Rosa's old Honda looked out of place in the parking lot, full of expensive cars. Inside, the waiting room had comfortable chairs and magazines that weren't old and torn. Everything smelled clean and new. "Mommy, this place is nice," Lily whispered, looking around with wide eyes. A nurse called them back after just 10 minutes. Usually they waited for at least an hour at their regular clinic. Dr. Okonkwo was a tall woman with warm brown skin and hair pulled back in a neat bun. She shook Rosa's hand firmly, then bent down to Lily's level. "You must be Lily. I've heard a lot about you." Lily smiled shyly. "You're really pretty." Dr. Okonkwo laughed. "Thank you. You know what? So are you." For the next hour, Dr. Okonkwo examined Lily thoroughly. She asked questions about symptoms. She looked at all of Lily's medical records that Rosa had brought. She ordered new blood tests. Finally, she sat down across from Rosa. "I think we can help Lily feel much better. There's a new treatment protocol that's showing excellent results for cases like hers. The medicine is expensive, but I want to try it." Rosa's hope flickered and started to die. "How expensive?" "Don't worry about that right now," Dr. Okonkwo said, echoing Michael's words. "I've got some funding sources I can access. Let's just focus on getting Lily healthy." "I don't understand," Rosa said, tears starting to fall. "Why are you being so nice to us? We can't pay you what you probably usually charge. Why would you help us?" Dr. Okonkwo reached across and squeezed Rosa's hand. "Because someone I respect very much asked me to, and because every child deserves the best care possible, regardless of what their parents can afford. Let me help you, Rosa, please." Rosa couldn't speak. She just nodded, tears streaming down her face. Lily reached up and hugged her mother. "It's okay, Mommy. Don't cry." When Rosa got back to Michael's house the next morning, she was determined to get answers. She found him in his office and knocked firmly on the door. "Come in." Rosa walked in and stood in front of his desk. "Mr. Jordan, I need to know what's going on." The financial advisor, the doctor. "I appreciate the help so much, but I don't understand. What's happening? What's this plan you keep talking about?" Michael closed his laptop and gave her his full attention. "Sit down, Rosa." She sat. "I told you I wasn't giving you a raise because it wouldn't solve your real problems. I meant that. A raise gives you a little more money, but it doesn't change your situation fundamentally." Rosa leaned forward. "So what are you doing?" "I'm investing in you," Michael said simply. "Not just in your ability to cook my meals, in you as a person, in your potential." "I don't understand what that means." Michael stood up and walked around his desk. He leaned against it, looking down at Rosa with serious eyes. "Rosa, you told me that if money wasn't a problem, you'd open a restaurant for people with medical dietary needs. That's not just a nice dream. That's a business opportunity. That's something this city actually needs." Rosa shook her head. "But I'm just a cook. I don't know anything about running a business." "Not yet," Michael agreed, "but you're going to learn." "What?" "Starting next week, you're going to do more than just cook for me. You're going to start training, business classes, restaurant management, menu development, all of it." Rosa felt dizzy. "I can't afford classes like that." "I'm paying for it," Michael said. "Consider it part of your job." "But why? Why would you do this?" Michael was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer than Rosa had ever heard it. When I was young, someone believed in me before I believed in myself. Someone saw my potential and invested in it. That changed my life. I like to do the same thing when I see real talent. He looked directly at Rosa. You've got talent, Rosa, not just in cooking, but in caring about people, in seeing what they need. That restaurant dream of yours, it's good, and I think you can actually do it. But not if you're stuck working 3 jobs just to survive. So I'm going to help you build something bigger. Rosa couldn't breathe. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. What if I fail, she whispered. Then you fail, Michael said with a shrug. But I don't think you will. Do you know why I'm doing this, Rosa? Because when you asked me for a raise, you didn't just ask for yourself. You asked for your daughter. Everything you do is for her. That tells me what kind of person you are. And that's the kind of person worth betting on. Rosa put her face in her hands and sobbed. All the fear and stress and exhaustion of the past 3 years came pouring out. Michael waited patiently until she calmed down. So, he said, are you in? Are you willing to work hard and learn and trust this process? Rosa wiped her eyes and looked up at him. Yes, she said. Yes, I'm in. Good, because this is just the beginning. The next Monday morning, Rosa's life became something she didn't recognize. She arrived at Michael's house at 6 a.m. like always, but instead of going straight to the kitchen, she found a note taped to the counter. Rosa, make my breakfast, then meet me in the office at 8 a.m. Bring a notebook. MJ. Rosa's hands trembled as she made his usual Monday breakfast. Egg white omelet with spinach and mushrooms. Her mind raced with questions. What was going to happen at 8 o'clock? At exactly 8, she knocked on Michael's office door. Come in. Michael sat at his desk with a woman Rosa had never seen before. She was young, maybe 30, with red hair pulled into a tight bun and glasses that made her look smart and serious. Rosa, this is Amanda Prescott. She manages operations for my restaurant group. Amanda stood and shook Rosa's hand. Her grip was firm and professional. Nice to meet you, Rosa. Michael's told me a lot about you. Sit down, Michael said, gesturing to the chair next to Amanda. Amanda's going to be working with you over the next few months. Working with me? Rosa repeated. Doing what? Amanda opened a folder on her lap. Mr. Jordan has asked me to teach you the restaurant business. We're going to cover everything. Menu planning, cost management, staffing, health codes, marketing, customer service. Everything you need to know to run a successful restaurant. Rosa felt her mouth go dry. But I still don't understand. I'm a chef. I cook. That's what I do. For now, Michael said, but you're going to become more than that. We'll start with 2 sessions a week, Amanda continued. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 11 a.m. I'll work around your cooking schedule. Michael's agreed to keep paying your full salary during this training period. Okay, Rosa managed to say. She felt like she was in a dream. Amanda smiled. Don't look so scared. You're going to do great. I've seen your food. Anyone who can cook like you has the passion needed to run a great restaurant. After Amanda left, Rosa turned to Michael. Mr. Jordan, this is too much. The doctor for Lily, the financial advisor, now business training? I don't know how I'll ever pay you back. Michael leaned back in his chair. I don't want you to pay me back, Rosa. I want you to pay it forward. When you're successful, you help someone else. That's how it works. But what if I'm not successful? What if I waste all your time and money? That's my risk to take, Michael said. Now go finish your kitchen prep. Amanda will be back on Tuesday. Tuesday morning came too fast. Rosa barely slept the night before, worried about the business class. She'd never been good at school. She dropped out of community college when she got pregnant with Lily. What if she couldn't understand the business stuff? But when Amanda arrived, she made everything simple and clear. They sat at Michael's kitchen table with coffee and notebooks. Let's start with the basics, Amanda said. Tell me about your dream restaurant. What would it look like? Rosa described it haltingly at first, then with growing confidence. A small place, maybe 30 tables, soft lighting, comfortable chairs, a menu that clearly marked every allergen, special meals for people with diabetes, celiac disease, kidney problems, autoimmune conditions. Families could eat together without worry, Rosa explained. Kids like Lily could feel normal. Parents wouldn't have to stress about whether the food was safe. Amanda wrote everything down. That's beautiful, Rosa. That's a mission, not just a restaurant. Missions make successful businesses. They talked about location next. What neighborhoods would want this kind of restaurant? Who would the customers be? How much would they pay? Rosa had never thought about these questions before, but Amanda helped her think through each one carefully. Business isn't scary, Amanda said. It's just organized common sense. You already know more than you think you do. By the end of the 2 hours, Rosa's head was spinning, but in a good way. She'd filled 10 pages in her notebook with ideas and questions and plans. On Thursday, Amanda came back with actual numbers. She showed Rosa profit and loss statements from Michael's restaurants. She explained food costs, labor costs, overhead, and profit margins. See this? Amanda pointed to a spreadsheet. Your food cost should be about 30% of your menu price. So if a dish costs you $6 to make, you need to charge at least $20 for it. Rosa stared at the numbers. I never knew there was so much math in restaurants. There's math in everything, Amanda said with a smile. But you can do this. Let me show you. They spent the whole session working through examples. Rosa learned how to calculate recipe costs, how to price a menu, how much money a restaurant needed to make each day just to stay open. It was hard. Rosa's brain hurt by the end, but she also felt excited. She was learning things she never thought she could understand. The following week, something else strange happened. A man named Carlos Rivera came to the house. He was a nutritionist and food scientist who worked with several Chicago hospitals. Mr. Jordan thought you might benefit from understanding the medical side of food, Carlos explained. I work with patients who have dietary restrictions. I can teach you how to create meals that are both safe and delicious for people with various conditions. For the next month, Carlos came every Monday afternoon. He taught Rosa about different diseases and how food affected them. He showed her how to substitute ingredients to make recipes safe for people with allergies. He explained which foods helped with inflammation, blood sugar, kidney function, and immune health. Rosa took notes furiously. This was information that could help Lily, information that could help hundreds of people. You have a gift, Carlos told her during their fourth session. You understand instinctively how to make healthy food taste good. And that's rare. Meanwhile, Lily was getting better. Dr. Okonkwo's new treatment was working. Lily had more energy than Rosa had seen in years. She played soccer during recess at school. She didn't need to rest every afternoon anymore. She smiled constantly. Mommy, I feel strong, Lily said one evening. Like I could run a whole mile. Rosa hugged her daughter tight, tears of joy streaming down her face. You're doing so amazing, baby. Is it because of your boss? Lily asked. The basketball man? Rosa nodded. Yes, Mr. Jordan helped us find a really good doctor. He must be nice, Lily said. Can I meet him sometime? Maybe someday, Rosa said, though she couldn't imagine that actually happening. 6 weeks into the training, Michael called Rosa into his office again. How's it going with Amanda? He asked. Good, Rosa said. Really good. My brain hurts from learning so much, but I like it. Good. Tomorrow you're going somewhere new. Where? One of my steakhouses downtown. You're going to work a shift in the kitchen, then you're going to work a shift managing the floor. I want you to see how a real restaurant operates. Rosa's eyes widened. Work at your restaurant? But I don't know how. You'll learn by doing, Michael interrupted. That's the best way. My manager there, Robert, knows you're coming. He'll show you everything. The next day, Rosa arrived at Jordan's Steakhouse on Michigan Avenue. The restaurant was enormous, with a huge kitchen and 20 staff members rushing around. Robert, the manager, was a short man with a gray beard and kind eyes. So you're Rosa. Michael's told me about you. Ready to work? Rosa spent 6 hours in that kitchen, watching the chefs work. They moved like a dance team, everyone knowing exactly what to do. Orders came in on screens. Food went out on huge trays. The pace was intense and exciting. Then Robert took her to the front of the restaurant. Now you're going to see the customer side. Rosa spent 3 more hours watching Robert manage the dining room. How he greeted customers, how he handled complaints, how he made sure everyone felt welcome and important. Running a restaurant is like conducting an orchestra, Robert explained. Everything has to work together perfectly. Rosa went home that night exhausted but thrilled. She'd seen how it all worked. She'd watched professionals do what she wanted to do. It felt possible. For the first time, her dream felt real and possible. But the strangest thing happened 2 months into her training. Michael asked Rosa to attend a meeting with him downtown. She wore her nicest dress, a simple blue one she'd bought at a thrift store 5 years ago. They met in a conference room at a tall building overlooking Lake Michigan. 3 people sat around a table: a lawyer, an architect, and a real estate developer. "Rosa, sit down," Michael said. "These people are going to help us look at some potential restaurant locations." Rosa froze. "Restaurant locations? But I thought I was just learning. I thought this was just training." Michael raised an eyebrow. "You thought I was training you for fun?" "No. We're doing this for real, Rosa. We're going to open your restaurant." Rosa sat down hard in the nearest chair. The room spun around her. "But I'm not ready. I don't have any money. I don't know enough yet." That's why you're still training," Michael said calmly. "But we need to start planning now. Real estate takes time. Permits take time. Construction takes time. We need to get started." The architect, a young woman named Keisha, spread out some papers on the table. "I'd like to hear your vision for the space, Rosa. What do you see when you imagine your restaurant?" Rosa's voice shook as she described it. Warm colors, comfortable seating, an open kitchen where customers could watch food being prepared, a special area for children. Keisha drew sketches as Rosa talked. The restaurant appeared on paper, coming to life right before Rosa's eyes. "This is beautiful," Keisha said. "I can totally see this." The real estate developer, a man named Frank, showed Rosa pictures of 3 possible locations. All of them were in good neighborhoods. All of them had parking. All of them looked perfect. "I can't afford any of these," Rosa whispered. "Let me worry about that," Michael said. "You just focus on learning everything you need to know. The business side is my problem." After the meeting, Rosa and Michael walked to his car. Rosa's legs felt wobbly. "Mr. Jordan, I'm scared," she admitted. "This is getting so real. What if I fail? What if I mess everything up?" Michael stopped and looked at her. "Rosa, do you know why I'm doing all this?" She shook her head. "Because 3 years ago, you made me a salmon dish that reminded me why food matters. It wasn't just fuel. It was art. It was love. It was care. That's what you put into every meal you make me. That's what you're going to put into your restaurant, and people will feel it." He opened the car door. "Stop worrying about failing. Start thinking about succeeding. You've got 4 more months of training. Use them. Learn everything. Ask every question, and get ready, because this is happening." Rosa got in the car, her mind reeling. 4 more months. Then what? Would she really be ready to run her own restaurant? She looked out the window at the Chicago skyline passing by and thought about Lily at home, healthy and happy for the first time in years. Maybe Michael was right. Maybe she could do this. Maybe her whole life was about to change. 4 months felt like both forever and no time at all. Rosa's days became a whirlwind of cooking, learning, and growing. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Amanda taught her more about business. Every Monday, Carlos showed her new ways to make food that healed. And twice a week, Michael sent her to work at his different restaurants. But the learning went deeper than Rosa expected. One morning in late spring, Michael called her into his office before breakfast. He sat at his desk with a serious expression. "Rosa, we need to talk about leadership." She sat down, confused. "Leadership? You're going to have employees, people working for you? You need to know how to manage them, how to inspire them, how to correct them when they make mistakes." Rosa felt her stomach tighten. "I've never been anyone's boss before." "I know, that's why we're going to work on it." Michael pulled out a book and slid it across the desk. "Read this. It's about building great teams." Over the next weeks, Michael gave Rosa 5 more books. Books about business, leadership, customer service, and success. Rosa read them at night after Lily went to bed, highlighting important parts and taking notes. She'd never been much of a reader before, But these books felt different. They weren't boring textbooks. They were stories about real people who built real businesses, people who failed and tried again, people who believed in their dreams. Rosa started to believe in hers too. In June, Amanda brought Rosa to meet with a marketing consultant named Priya Shah. Priya was young and energetic, with bright purple streaks in her black hair. She talked fast and had ideas that exploded like fireworks. "Okay, Rosa, let's talk branding," Priya said, opening her laptop. "Your restaurant needs an identity, a name that tells people exactly what you're about. What are you thinking?" Rosa had been thinking about this for weeks. "I want something that represents hope, growth, healing." "Give me words," Priya said. "Just throw out words that feel right. Bloom, nourish, garden, life." Rosa paused. "Lotus." Priya's eyes lit up. "Lotus, that's it. The lotus grows in muddy water, but blooms into something beautiful. It's perfect for what you're doing, taking people's struggles and helping them bloom into health." They spent 3 hours developing the name and concept. Lotus Kitchen, where every plate heals. Priya designed a logo right there, a simple lotus flower with a fork and knife forming the stem. Rosa stared at it on the computer screen, her heart pounding. "That's my restaurant," she whispered. "That's really mine." "Not yet," Priya said with a grin, "but it will be." The hardest lesson came in July. Michael took Rosa to a restaurant supply store. They walked through aisles of pots, pans, knives, ovens, and equipment Rosa had only dreamed about owning. "Pick out everything you need for your kitchen," Michael said. Rosa touched a beautiful chef's knife, checking the price tag. $800. She moved her hand away quickly. "What's wrong?" Michael asked. "That's too expensive." "Rosa, this is a business investment. You need quality equipment. Pick what you need, not what you think you can afford." But Rosa couldn't do it. Every time she picked something up, she saw the price and put it back. Years of poverty had trained her to always choose the cheapest option, always make do with less. Finally, Michael stopped her. "Rosa, look at me." She looked up, embarrassed. "You're not poor anymore," he said firmly. "I know that's hard to believe. I know you spent years counting every penny, but this restaurant is going to have a real budget, a proper budget. You need to start thinking like a business owner, not like someone who's struggling." Rosa felt tears building. "It's hard. I'm scared to spend money. What if the restaurant fails and you lost all this money because of me?" "Then I lost it," Michael said simply. "That's my choice. Your job is to build the best restaurant you can. You can't do that with cheap equipment and scared decisions." He picked up the $800 knife and handed it to her. "Feel that? That's quality. That knife will last 20 years. A cheap knife might save you money today, but you'll replace it 5 times. That's bad business." Rosa held the knife, feeling its perfect weight and balance. "Buy the right tool," Michael said. "Build the right way. Stop thinking small. You're bigger than that now." Those words changed something in Rosa's mind. She spent the next 3 hours choosing equipment, not the cheapest, not the most expensive, but the right tools for what she wanted to create. When they loaded everything into Michael's truck, Rosa felt different, stronger, more confident. In August, Rosa met the person who would become her most important teacher. Her name was Helen Martinez, and she'd owned 3 successful restaurants in Chicago before retiring. She was 68 years old with silver hair and laugh lines around her eyes. "Michael tells me you're opening a specialty restaurant," Helen said over coffee at a cafe downtown. "Medical dietary needs?" "Yes, ma'am," Rosa said. "For people like my daughter, who can't eat safely at most places." Helen nodded slowly. "That's a good mission. Missions keep you going when business gets hard, and business always gets hard." For the next 2 months, Helen became Rosa's mentor. She taught Rosa things no book could explain: how to handle difficult customers, what to do when an employee called in sick on the busiest night, how to stay calm when 3 things went wrong at once. "Running a restaurant is like raising children," Helen said during one of their meetings. "There's always a crisis, always a problem. Your job isn't to prevent problems. That's impossible. Your job is to solve them quickly and keep smiling." Helen also taught Rosa about money, the real truth about restaurant finances that nobody likes to talk about. Most restaurants fail in the first year, Helen explained. You know why? Because owners underestimate costs and overestimate sales. They run out of money before they figure out how to succeed. She showed Rosa her old financial records. See? My first restaurant lost money for 8 months. I almost gave up. But I'd planned for that. I had enough savings to survive the learning curve. Rosa realized why Michael was investing in her restaurant. He was giving her something most new restaurant owners never had. A cushion, room to make mistakes and learn from them. You're lucky, Helen said. Michael's giving you a real chance. Don't waste it. I won't, Rosa promised. Meanwhile, Lily continued to thrive. By September, her doctor said she was healthier than she'd been in 5 years. The new medicine had worked a miracle. Lily joined the soccer team at school. She made new friends. She smiled constantly and talked about normal kid things. Homework, crushes, silly videos online. One evening, Lily asked Rosa a question. Mommy, when you open your restaurant, can I help sometimes? Rosa hugged her daughter. Of course, baby. You'll be my assistant. I want to be the person who greets people, Lily said. I'll tell them welcome and make them feel happy. Rosa's heart swelled. You'll be perfect at that. And Mommy? Lily's voice got quieter. I want to tell other sick kids that they can get better, like I did. Rosa held Lily tighter, tears falling. Her daughter had suffered so much. But instead of being bitter, Lily wanted to help others. That was the kind of person she was becoming. You can do that, Rosa whispered. You absolutely can. In October, Rosa received a phone call that changed everything. It was Frank, the real estate developer. Rosa, we found it. The perfect location. Can you meet me there tomorrow morning? Rosa's hands shook as she wrote down the address. Ashland Avenue, a corner lot in a busy neighborhood near 3 hospitals. That night, she could barely eat dinner. She kept thinking about tomorrow, about seeing the actual space where her restaurant would exist. You're nervous, Lily observed. Very nervous, Rosa admitted. It'll be great, Mommy. I know it will. But Rosa wasn't so sure. What if the space was wrong? What if she walked in and realized she couldn't do this? What if reality didn't match her dreams? She barely slept that night, staring at the ceiling until her alarm finally buzzed at 5 a.m. The next morning, Rosa made Michael's breakfast with trembling hands. He noticed immediately. You okay? He asked. I'm seeing the restaurant space today, she said. The real location. Michael set down his fork. That's today? Good, what time? 10 o'clock. I'll come with you. Rosa looked up in surprise. You don't have to do that. I want to, Michael said. This is a big moment. You shouldn't face it alone. At 9:30, they drove together toward Ashland Avenue. Rosa watched the city pass by through the window. Her stomach felt like it was full of butterflies. No, full of birds, big ones, flapping and crashing around. They pulled up to a corner building with brown paper covering all the windows. It looked old but solid. The neighborhood was busy with people walking, shops open, cars passing by. Frank stood outside grinning. There she is, ready to see your future? Rosa got out of the car on shaky legs. This was it. This was the moment when her dream became real, or when she discovered it was impossible. Frank unlocked the door. After you. Rosa stepped through the doorway into darkness. Then Frank flipped on the lights. Rosa gasped. The space was empty, but it was perfect. High ceilings with exposed beams, huge windows that would let in beautiful light once the paper came off. The dining area was exactly the right size. Not too big, not too small. And in the back, through an open doorway, she could see the kitchen space. Rosa walked slowly through the empty room, her footsteps echoing. She could see it all in her mind. Tables here. The host stand there. Soft lighting hanging from those beams. Her Lotus logo on that wall. She walked into the kitchen and stopped breathing. It was brand new, completely new. Stainless steel counters, a 6-burner stove, a professional oven, a walk-in refrigerator. Everything she'd picked out at the supply store was already installed and waiting. When did this happen? Rosa whispered. Michael stepped up beside her. Over the past month, while you were training, we were building. Rosa turned to him, tears streaming down her face. This is real. This is actually real. Yes, Michael said simply. It is. Rosa walked through the kitchen, touching everything. The counters, the stove, the gleaming refrigerator. 6 months ago, she'd been struggling to pay rent. Now she was standing in her own restaurant kitchen, but something felt wrong. Not bad, just incomplete, like a puzzle with one piece missing. Rosa turned to Michael. I don't understand something. What? Why haven't you told me yet? What's the catch? What's the thing I don't know? Michael smiled slowly. You'll find out soon enough. We've got one more piece of this puzzle. But first you need to finish your training. 2 more months, Rosa. Then everything comes together. Rosa wanted to ask more questions, but something in Michael's expression told her to wait, to trust the process, just like he'd been saying all along. Okay, she said. 2 more months. But as they walked out of the restaurant space and back into the bright October sunshine, Rosa felt something she hadn't felt in years. Pure, complete, overwhelming joy. Her life wasn't just changing. It had already changed. She just didn't know yet how much more it was about to transform. The final 2 months felt like running toward a finish line Rosa could finally see. November arrived with cold winds and gray skies, but Rosa barely noticed the weather. She was too busy learning the last crucial lessons about running her restaurant. Amanda brought in a woman named Susan Park, who specialized in health department regulations. Susan was strict and serious, with a clipboard always in her hand. Health codes can shut you down faster than anything else, Susan explained during their first meeting. One violation, one mistake, and you're done. We're going to make sure that never happens. They spent 3 weeks going over every single rule, how to store food safely, what temperature everything needed to be, how to prevent cross-contamination for people with allergies, how to train staff on proper hygiene. Rosa filled 2 entire notebooks with information. Her hand cramped from writing, but she didn't care. This was keeping people safe. This was keeping Lily safe, and kids like her. You're one of my best students, Susan said during their final session. Most people get bored with health codes. You actually care. Of course I care, Rosa said. Someone's child will eat my food. That's the biggest responsibility in the world. In mid-November, Michael gave Rosa an assignment that terrified her. I want you to create your full opening menu, he said. Every dish, with recipes, costs, and descriptions. You have 2 weeks. Rosa stared at him. The whole menu? By myself? You've been training for 7 months. You know nutrition, you know costs, you know what people need. Now show me what you can create. Rosa spent every free moment working on that menu. She tested recipes in Michael's kitchen after she finished his meals. She calculated costs on dozens of spreadsheets. She rewrote descriptions until they sounded perfect. Carlos, the nutritionist, helped her make sure every dish was safe for different medical conditions. Priya helped her write descriptions that would make people excited to eat. The menu grew slowly. Appetizers for people with diabetes, entrees for people with celiac disease, desserts for people with kidney problems. Everything delicious, everything safe, everything made with love. After 2 weeks, Rosa presented the menu to Michael. Her hands shook as she handed him the folder. He read through it slowly, his face unreadable. Rosa counted her heartbeats. 100, 200, 300. Finally, Michael looked up. This is excellent, Rosa. Really excellent. This isn't just a menu, it's a promise to your customers. A promise that they can trust you? Rosa's eyes filled with tears. You really think it's good? I think it's better than good. I think people are going to love this place. The first week of December brought an unexpected visitor. A young woman knocked on Michael's kitchen door while Rosa was preparing lunch. She had short blonde hair and wore a business suit. Ms. Chen, I'm Rebecca Wu from the Chicago Tribune. Mr. Jordan arranged for me to interview you about your restaurant. Rosa nearly dropped the knife she was holding. Interview? In the newspaper? Yes, we're doing a story on new restaurants opening in Chicago. Your concept is really unique. People will want to know about it. Rosa looked around frantically for Michael, but he left for a meeting that morning. She was alone with this reporter, completely unprepared. I don't know what to say, Rosa stammered. Rebecca smiled kindly. Just tell me your story. Why are you opening this restaurant? So Rosa told her everything. About Lily's diagnosis, about Marcus leaving, about working 3 jobs, about the catering event where Michael discovered her cooking, about asking for a raise and getting something much bigger instead. Rebecca wrote everything down, her eyes growing wider. This is an incredible story. Your restaurant isn't just about food, it's about hope. That's exactly what it is, Rosa said softly. Hope that things can get better. Hope that someone cares. Hope that you're not alone. The interview lasted 2 hours. When Rebecca finally left, Rosa sat down at the kitchen table, exhausted but exhilarated. Michael came home that evening and found Rosa still sitting there. Rebecca came by today, Rosa said. I know. How did it go? I think I talked too much. I told her everything. Michael smiled. Good. People need to hear your story. It'll help them understand what makes Lotus Kitchen special. When will the article come out? Opening day, Michael said. December 20th. Everything's coming together, Rosa. December 20th. 3 weeks away. Rosa's stomach flipped. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Furniture arrived at the restaurant, tables, chairs, host stand, everything Keisha the architect had designed. Rosa spent 3 days arranging and rearranging until it felt right. The logo Priya designed was painted on the wall, a beautiful lotus flower in soft purple and green. Looking at it made Rosa cry every single time. Kitchen equipment was tested and retested. Rosa practiced cooking in the new space, learning where everything was, how the ovens worked, how the flow felt. She interviewed potential employees. Michael had taught her what questions to ask, how to spot people who truly cared about their work. Rosa hired a young woman named Tamara as a line cook. Tamara was a single mother with a son who had food allergies. She understood the mission immediately. I want to work somewhere that matters, Tamara said during her interview. This place matters. Rosa hired Marcus, not her ex-husband, but a different Marcus, as a server. He was kind and patient, perfect for working with customers who had special needs. She hired 3 more people, a dishwasher, another cook, a host. Each one believed in what Lotus Kitchen represented. 1 week before opening, Rosa took Lily to see the restaurant for the first time. They walked in together and Lily gasped, "Mommy, it's so pretty." Rosa watched her daughter run around the empty dining room, touching the tables, looking at the logo on the wall, peeking into the kitchen. "This is really yours?" Lily asked, her eyes shining. "Yes, baby, it's really mine." Lily hugged Rosa tight. "I'm so proud of you, Mommy. You did it." Rosa held her daughter and cried. She'd done this for Lily. Every step, every lesson, every moment of training, it was all for her daughter, to give her a better life, to show her that dreams could come true even when everything seemed impossible. "You helped me do it," Rosa whispered. "You're my reason for everything." 3 days before opening, Michael called Rosa to his office one final time. She walked in nervous, wondering what else could possibly happen. She'd learned so much. The restaurant was ready. What was left? Michael sat behind his desk with papers spread out in front of him. He looked serious. "Sit down, Rosa. We need to talk about the business structure." Rosa sat, her heart pounding. This was it. This was the catch she'd been waiting for. The thing that would make everything fall apart. "The restaurant is yours," Michael began. "The LLC is in your name. But I'm investing in the business. I want 49% ownership." Rosa nodded slowly. This made sense. It was fair. He'd paid for everything. The space, the equipment, the training. Of course, he'd own part of it. "That means you own 51%, Michael continued. "You're the majority owner. You make all the decisions. I'm just a partner." "But you paid for everything," Rosa protested. "You should own more." "No," Michael's voice was firm. "This is your dream, your vision, your mission. I'm just helping you build it. You need to own it. Really own it." He pushed the papers across the desk. "Read these. They're the partnership agreement. Everything's spelled out. The lease is paid for 3 years. You have a business line of credit for operating costs. After 3 years, if you want to buy me out completely, you can." Rosa stared at the papers, unable to speak. "There are some conditions," Michael said. "First, you have to donate 10% of your profits to a medical fund for families with sick children." Help other people the way I helped you. Rosa nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, absolutely yes. Second, I want to eat free for life. Rosa laughed through her tears. Of course. Third, I want you to hire people who need a second chance. Single mothers, people who've struggled. Give them what I gave you, a real opportunity. I will, Rosa promised. I absolutely will. Michael stood up and walked around the desk. He held out his hand. So, partner, are we doing this? Rosa stood up and shook his hand. Yes, we're doing this. But Michael didn't let go of her hand. He looked at her with serious eyes. Rosa, 9 months ago, you asked me for a raise. You wanted a few $100s more a month. If I'd given you that, where would you be right now? Rosa thought about it. Still struggling, still scared, still stuck. Exactly. That's why I said no. Because you didn't need a raise. You needed a revolution. You needed someone to believe in you before you believed in yourself. You needed to see what you were really capable of. He released her hand. Tomorrow's opening day. Are you ready? Rosa took a deep breath. Was she ready? She'd trained for 9 months. She'd learned everything she could. She'd built a team. She'd created a menu. She'd poured her heart into every detail. Yes, she said firmly, I'm ready. Good, because there's one more surprise waiting for you tomorrow. A big one. Rosa's eyes widened. What surprise? Michael smiled mysteriously. You'll see. Just be at the restaurant at noon and wear something nice. Opening day arrived cold and bright. December 20th, the shortest day of the year, but the biggest day of Rosa's life. Rosa stood in her small apartment bathroom, staring at her reflection. She wore a simple black dress, the nicest thing she owned. Her hands trembled as she tried to fix her hair. Lily appeared in the doorway, already dressed in a pretty blue dress Rosa had bought her for the occasion. You look beautiful, Mommy, Lily said. I'm so nervous, baby. Don't be. Everyone's going to love the restaurant. They drove together to Ashland Avenue. Rosa's heart pounded so hard she could feel it in her throat. This was real. This was happening. In a few hours, real customers would walk through those doors. They pulled up to the restaurant, and Rosa gasped. The brown paper was gone from the windows. Through the glass, she could see the dining room glowing with warm light. The Lotus logo sparkled on the wall. Everything looked perfect. But that wasn't what made her gasp. Michael's car was already there, and so were 5 other cars she didn't recognize. Rosa and Lily walked to the door. It was locked. Rosa used her own key to her own restaurant, and opened it. Inside, the restaurant was full of people. Amanda stood by the host stand, beaming. Gerald, the financial advisor, was there. Dr. Okonkwo smiled warmly from a table. Carlos waved from the back. Helen, her mentor, gave her a thumbs up. Priya grinned from near the kitchen. All her new employees stood together, dressed in their Lotus kitchen uniforms. And in the center of the room stood Michael, holding a bottle of champagne. Surprise, he said with a huge smile. Rosa couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. What is this? This, Michael said, is everyone who helped build your dream. I wanted them all here to celebrate what you've accomplished. Rosa's legs felt weak. Lily grabbed her hand, squeezing tight. Michael walked over and handed Rosa a glass. I told you 9 months ago that I had a plan. I told you to trust me. You did. And look what we built together. He raised his glass. To Rosa Chen, the bravest woman I know, the hardest worker I've ever met, and the newest restaurant owner in Chicago. Everyone cheered and raised their glasses. Rosa tried to speak, but only sobs came out. Happy sobs, grateful sobs, overwhelming, can't believe this is real sobs. Dr. Okonkwo came over and hugged her. You did this, Rosa. You earned every bit of this. Amanda squeezed her shoulder. I knew from day one you had what it takes. One by one, every person in the room hugged her and congratulated her. These people had taught her, guided her, believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. Finally, Michael raised his hand for quiet. I have one more thing to say. The room fell silent. Rosa wiped her tears and looked at him. Rosa, when you asked me for a raise 9 months ago, do you remember what you said? Rosa nodded. I said I needed money for Lily's medical bills and rent. Right, but that's not really what you were asking for. What you were really asking was, do you see me? Do I matter? Am I worth more than what I'm getting? Michael's voice got softer. And my answer was yes. Yes, I see you. Yes, you matter. Yes, you're worth more. But not just a few $100s more. You're worth this. He gestured around the restaurant. You're worth investment, training, opportunity, belief. He looked directly at Rosa. You didn't need a raise. You needed someone to show you what you were capable of becoming. And now look at you. Rosa couldn't speak. She just cried and cried, 9 months of fear and hope and growth pouring out all at once. Lily tugged on her hand. Mommy, it's noon. Should we open? Rosa looked at her daughter, then at Michael, then at all the people gathered in her restaurant. Yes, she said, her voice strong despite the tears. Let's open. Michael handed her a key. Do you want to unlock the door? Let the first customers in? Rosa walked to the front door, Lily beside her. Through the glass, she could see people waiting outside. Families, couples, people who needed what she was offering. She unlocked the door and opened it wide. Welcome to Lotus Kitchen, she said, where every plate heals. And her new life began. The first customer through the door was a woman about Rosa's age, holding the hand of a small boy who looked about 7 years old. The woman's eyes were nervous. Is this the restaurant for people with food allergies? Rosa knelt down to the boy's level. Hi there, what's your name? Danny, the boy said quietly. Hi, Danny, I'm Rosa. I own this restaurant. What foods do you need to be careful about? Peanuts and dairy, his mother answered. He's had 2 scary reactions. We hardly ever eat out anymore. Rosa stood and smiled at the mother. Well, you're safe here. Every dish on our menu lists all the ingredients, and I promise you, we're very, very careful. My daughter has medical food needs too. I understand. The mother's eyes filled with tears. Really? We can actually eat here safely? Absolutely. Let me show you to a table. As Rosa led them to their seats, more families poured through the door. A teenager with celiac disease, an elderly man with kidney problems, a young woman with diabetes, a family with a child who had the same autoimmune condition as Lily. The restaurant filled up within 20 minutes. Every table was taken. Rosa's staff moved smoothly, just like they'd practiced. Marcus the server greeted each customer warmly. Tamara worked in the kitchen alongside Rosa, preparing meals with care and precision. Rosa moved between the kitchen and the dining room, making sure everything was perfect. Her heart raced, but it was excitement now, not fear. At table 6, a little girl about Lily's age sat with her parents. Rosa noticed the girl was thin and pale, wearing a medical bracelet. How's everything? Rosa asked, stopping by their table. The food is amazing, the father said. But more than that, you have no idea what this means to us. Julie hasn't eaten at a restaurant in 2 years. Look at her face. Rosa looked. Julie was smiling, eating her special pasta dish with pure joy on her face. This is the best day ever, Julie said, looking up at Rosa. The food doesn't make me sick. Rosa felt tears threatening again, but she blinked them back. This was why she'd worked so hard. This moment right here. The lunch rush lasted 3 hours. Rosa barely had time to breathe. Orders kept coming. The kitchen stayed busy. But everything worked. Everything flowed. Finally, around 3 o'clock, the restaurant emptied out. Rosa's staff gathered in the kitchen, exhausted but thrilled. We did it, Tamara said, grinning. Our first service. And nobody died. Everyone laughed. You all were incredible, Rosa said. Seriously, I couldn't have done this without you. Michael appeared in the kitchen doorway. Rosa, can you come out here for a minute? Rosa followed him into the dining room. Lily sat at a table near the window, and Michael gestured for Rosa to sit down. What's going on? Rosa asked. I have something for you, Michael said. He pulled out a newspaper, the Chicago Tribune, and set it on the table. There on the front page of the food section was a huge article. The headline read, From Personal Chef to Restaurant Owner, One Woman's Journey of Hope. Below it was a picture of Rosa in the kitchen, smiling. Rosa's hands shook as she picked up the paper. The article told her whole story, everything she'd told Rebecca. About Lily, about struggling, about asking for a raise, about Michael's response that changed her life. But the article went deeper. It talked about what Lotus Kitchen represented. On a place where people with medical needs could feel normal. A place where families could eat together without fear. A place built on love and understanding. The final paragraph made Rosa cry. Lotus Kitchen opens today at 2847 Ashland Avenue. But more than a restaurant is opening, a door of hope is opening for families who felt excluded and scared. Rosa Chen didn't just create a business, she created a community. And if opening day is any indication, that community desperately needed what she's offering. This is going to bring people in, Michael said. A lot of people. Are you ready for that? Rosa looked around her restaurant, at the Lotus logo on the wall, at the tables where families had just eaten safely for the first time in years, at Lily sitting there healthy and happy. Yes, Rosa said, I'm ready. Michael was right. Over the next weeks, people flooded through the doors of Lotus Kitchen. The Tribune article spread across social media. Parents shared it with other parents. Support groups posted it. Medical offices recommended the restaurant to patients. By the end of December, Lotus Kitchen was fully booked every night. Rosa had to hire 3 more staff members just to keep up. January brought new challenges. A snowstorm knocked out power for 6 hours. A delivery truck got stuck in traffic, arriving 4 hours late. A customer complained loudly about wait times. But Rosa handled everything. She remembered Helen's words. Your job isn't to prevent problems. It's to solve them quickly and keep smiling. During the power outage, Rosa lit candles and served cold dishes she'd prepared earlier. Customers said it was romantic and special. The late delivery meant Rosa had to improvise a new special for the night, which became so popular she added it to the regular menu. The angry customer calmed down after Rosa personally apologized and sent out a free dessert. You're a natural at this, Amanda said during one of her visits to check on the restaurant. You've got the instincts. Rosa still met with her teachers regularly. Amanda came weekly to review finances. Carlos helped her develop new menu items. Helen stopped by to offer advice. Most new restaurants struggle in the first few months, Helen said in February. But look at you. You're thriving. Rosa looked around the busy dining room. I think it's because people feel something here. It's not just food, it's care. That's exactly right, Helen said. That's the secret ingredient no one can copy. In March, something unexpected happened. A woman came into the restaurant on a Tuesday afternoon when things were quiet. She wore an expensive suit and carried a designer purse. Are you Rosa Chen? The woman asked. Yes, how can I help you? I'm Catherine Brooks. I own 3 restaurants in Evanston. I've been hearing amazing things about this place. I wanted to see it for myself. Rosa showed Catherine around, explaining the concept and the menu. Catherine asked smart questions about costs, suppliers, and operations. At the end of the tour, Catherine handed Rosa a business card. I'd like to talk to you about opening a second location in Evanston. We have a large population of families with medical needs. They need what you're offering. Rosa stared at the card. A second location? She'd barely gotten used to running one restaurant. I don't know, Rosa stammered. That's a big step. Think about it, Catherine said. Your mission is too important to stay in just one neighborhood. More people need this. After Catherine left, Rosa called Michael. A second location? Michael repeated. Already? I know it's crazy. I'm not ready for that. Michael was quiet for a moment. Rosa, do you remember 9 months ago? You told me you weren't ready to run a restaurant. But look at you now. You're doing it, and doing it well. This is different. Expanding is huge. It is huge, Michael agreed. So think about it carefully. But don't say no just because you're scared. You've proven you can do hard things. Rosa thought about it for 2 weeks. She talked to Amanda, to Helen, to all her mentors. She made lists of pros and cons. She ran financial projections. Finally, she made her decision. She called Catherine Brooks. Not yet, Rosa said. Give me 1 year to prove this location works long-term. Then let's talk. Catherine laughed. That's a smart answer. Most people would jump too fast. Call me in a year. Rosa felt proud of that decision. She was learning to think like a business owner, not rushing, not being reckless, but being strategic and smart. April brought Lily's 12th birthday. Rosa threw a party at Lotus Kitchen on a Sunday when the restaurant was closed. 20 kids came, Lily's whole class. Many of them had food allergies or medical conditions. Rosa made a special menu where every single child could eat safely. She watched Lily laugh with her friends eating birthday cake made without dairy or eggs. She watched children with dietary restrictions enjoy pizza and ice cream for the first time. Lily's teacher pulled Rosa aside. This is the first birthday party where every kid could participate fully. No one had to sit out. No one had to watch others eat while they couldn't. Do you know what a gift that is? Rosa did know. She'd thrown this party for Lily, but also for every child who'd ever felt different or left out or scared. At the end of the party, Lily hugged Rosa tight. Best birthday ever, Mommy. Thank you. You're welcome, baby. You're the reason for all of this. You know that, right? Lily nodded. I know. And when I grow up, I want to help people too. Just like you. In May, Rosa reached a milestone. Lotus Kitchen had been open for 5 months and was officially profitable. She sat in her small office at the restaurant, a space that used to be a storage closet but now held a desk, a computer, and filing cabinets, reviewing the numbers with Gerald. You're making money, Gerald said, showing her the spreadsheet. Real money. After covering all expenses, you're in the black. Rosa stared at the numbers. She'd done it. She'd really done it. What should I do with the profit? Rosa asked. Most of it needs to go back into the business, Gerald explained. Building up reserves, covering unexpected costs, but you can start paying yourself a real salary now. Not just the minimum you've been taking. That night, Rosa sat at her kitchen table. The same table where she'd counted bills and done math that never worked out. But this time, the math was different. She could afford Lily's medicine easily. She could pay rent without worry. She could even start saving money again. Real money this time, not just $17. Rosa put her head down on the table and cried. Happy tears, grateful tears, relief tears. She'd made it. She'd actually made it. June brought an invitation that shocked Rosa. A letter arrived from the Chicago Restaurant Association. She opened it at the restaurant during a quiet afternoon. Dear Ms. Chen, we are pleased to nominate Lotus Kitchen for the new Restaurant of the Year award. Your innovative concept and commitment to serving underserved communities has impressed our selection committee. The award ceremony will be held on July 15th. We hope you can attend. Rosa read the letter 3 times to make sure it was real. She was nominated for an award. Her restaurant, her dream. She called Michael immediately. Did you see this? I did. They sent me a copy. I'm a partner, remember? I can't believe this is happening. Believe it, Rosa. You've earned it. The awards ceremony was held at a fancy hotel downtown. Rosa wore a new dress, the first new dress she'd bought in 7 years. Lily came with her, wearing a pretty yellow dress that made her look like sunshine. They walked into a ballroom filled with Chicago's restaurant owners, chefs, and food industry leaders. Rosa felt completely out of place until she saw her people, Amanda, Gerald, Helen, Carlos, all her mentors who'd helped her succeed. And Michael, of course, standing tall in a sharp suit, grinning at her. You clean up nice, he said with a wink. The ceremony began. Various awards were announced. Best New Chef, Best Italian Restaurant, Best Cocktail Program. Finally, they reached the category Rosa was nominated for, New Restaurant of the Year. The nominees are... The announcer began listing 5 restaurants, including Lotus Kitchen. Rosa held Lily's hand tight, her heart pounding. And the winner is... Lotus Kitchen! The ballroom erupted in applause. Rosa sat frozen, unable to move. Mommy, you won, Lily squealed. Go up there. Rosa stood on shaky legs and walked to the stage. Someone handed her a glass trophy shaped like a chef's hat. She stood at the microphone, looking out at hundreds of people. I don't have a speech prepared, Rosa said, her voice trembling. I never imagined. She took a breath and started over. 9 months ago, I was a personal chef struggling to pay my bills. I asked my boss for a raise. He said no. And I thought my life was over. The audience was completely quiet, listening. But he didn't say no because he didn't care. He said no because he saw something in me I didn't see in myself. He saw potential. He saw possibility. He saw someone worth investing in. Rosa looked at Michael in the audience. He nodded at her, smiling. Michael Jordan didn't just help me open a restaurant. He taught me that I was capable of more than I believed. He showed me that the right question isn't, can you give me more? The right question is, what am I capable of becoming? Her voice grew stronger. This award isn't just mine. It belongs to every single mother working 3 jobs, every parent with a sick child, every person who feels invisible or stuck or hopeless. This award says you matter. Your dreams matter. And with the right support and the right belief, you can do amazing things. The applause was deafening. People stood up, giving her a standing ovation. Rosa walked off the stage holding her trophy, tears streaming down her face. Michael met her at the bottom of the steps and pulled her into a hug. I'm proud of you, Rosa, he said quietly. You did this. We did this, Rosa corrected. I couldn't have done any of it without you. The summer flew by in a blur of busy services and happy customers. Lotus Kitchen became known across Chicago as the place where everyone could eat safely. Rosa hired 2 more employees in August. One was a young man named James who'd been homeless for 2 years, but was trying to rebuild his life. The other was a woman named Keisha. Yes, the same Keisha who designed the restaurant, who wanted a career change into restaurant management. You're giving me a second chance, James said during his interview. Someone gave me a second chance, Rosa replied. Now I'm passing it forward. In September, Rosa's first-year anniversary approached. 1 year since she'd asked Michael for a raise. 1 year since her whole life changed. She decided to do something special. On September 15th, Rosa closed Lotus Kitchen for a private event. She invited everyone who'd helped her along the way, all her teachers, her staff, her first customers, and of course, Michael and Lily. She also invited 50 families from local hospitals, families with children who had serious medical conditions, families struggling to afford food, let alone restaurant meals. Rosa and her staff prepared a feast. Every dish was safe for every dietary need represented. There were no bills, no payments, just free food and community and love. Michael stood at the front of the restaurant and raised his glass. 1 year ago today, Rosa asked me for a raise. I said no, and I've never been more right about anything in my life. Everyone laughed. I didn't give Rosa more money because money wouldn't have changed her situation. It would have just made the struggle slightly easier. Instead, I gave her something else. I gave her a mirror, a chance to see herself the way I saw her. Capable, talented, strong, ready. He looked at Rosa. You took that chance and ran with it. You learned everything we threw at you. You built something beautiful, and now you're helping others the way I helped you. That's the whole point. That's the dream. Rosa stood up, her voice thick with emotion. Thank you, Michael, for seeing me, for believing in me, for teaching me that I was worth more than I thought. She looked around the packed restaurant. And thank you to everyone here, my teachers who shared their knowledge, my staff who work so hard every single day, my customers who trust me with their health and their families, and my daughter Lily, who's my reason for everything. Lily waved from her seat, grinning. 1 year ago, I thought I needed a raise, Rosa continued. I thought I needed a few $100s more each month. I was thinking so small. I was thinking about surviving instead of thriving. She picked up her glass. Michael taught me to think bigger, to ask not, what do I need, but what am I capable of? That one shift in thinking changed my entire life. She raised her glass higher. So here's my promise. Every year on this day, September 15th, Lotus Kitchen will close for regular business and host a free meal for families who need it. We'll feed people who can't afford restaurants. We'll make them feel seen and cared for. We'll pass forward what was given to me. The room erupted in applause. Michael smiled at Rosa across the room. She smiled back, thinking about everything that had happened. The fear, the learning, the growth, the triumph. She'd asked for a raise and received a revolution. She'd asked for more money and received more belief. She'd asked for help surviving and received the tools to thrive. That night, after everyone left and the restaurant was clean, Rosa stood alone in the empty dining room. The Lotus logo glowed softly on the wall. The tables sat ready for tomorrow's customers. Everything was quiet and peaceful. She thought about the journey, 9 months of training, 6 months of running the restaurant, a whole year of transformation. Rosa wasn't the same person who'd nervously asked Michael Jordan for a raise. That woman had been scared and small and stuck. That woman hadn't believed in herself. This woman, the woman standing in her own restaurant, was different, confident, capable, strong. This woman knew what she could achieve when someone believed in her and when she believed in herself. The front door opened. Rosa turned to see Lily walking in. "I thought you went home with Mrs. Chen," Rosa said. "I wanted to come back. I wanted to see you here, in your restaurant." Lily walked over and took Rosa's hand. They stood together, looking around the space. "Mommy, do you remember when you used to cry at the kitchen table? When you did math and it never worked?" Rosa nodded. "I remember, baby. You don't cry anymore. You smile now." Rosa pulled Lily into a hug. "That's because of you, and because of Mr. Jordan, and because I learned that asking for help isn't weakness, it's strength." "What are you going to do next?" Lily asked. "Are you going to open more restaurants?" Rosa thought about Catherine Brooks's offer, about expansion, about reaching more people. "Maybe," Rosa said, "but not yet. First, I want to make this place even better. I want to help even more families. I want to train my staff so they can open their own restaurant someday. I want to keep growing." She looked down at her daughter. "But I also want to spend more time with you. I want to go to your soccer games, help with homework, be there for dinner. For the first time in your life, I don't have to choose between working and being your mom. I can be both." Lily smiled. "I like that." They walked out of the restaurant together, Rosa locking the door behind them. She looked up at the sign, Lotus Kitchen, glowing in the streetlight. 1 year ago, she'd been drowning. Now she was blooming. 1 year ago, she'd asked for a raise. Now she owned a thriving business. 1 year ago, she'd felt invisible. Now she was an award-winning restaurant owner, helping hundreds of families. All because Michael Jordan had seen her potential and helped her see it too. All because he'd said no to what she asked for and yes to what she needed. All because one person believed in her at exactly the right moment. Rosa started her car and headed home. Tomorrow, Lotus Kitchen would open again. Tomorrow, more families would walk through those doors looking for hope. Tomorrow, she'd continue building her dream. But tonight, she just wanted to go home with her healthy, happy daughter and rest. Because she'd earned it. She'd really, truly earned it. And that felt better than any raise ever could. 3 years later, Rosa did open a second Lotus Kitchen location in Evanston, then a third in Oak Park. Each one followed the same model. Safe food for people with medical dietary needs, served with care and love. She started a nonprofit that helped other single mothers get business training, just like she'd received. She donated not just 10%, but 20% of her profits to medical funds for families with sick children. Tamara, her first employee, opened her own small cafe in 2028 with Rosa's help and guidance. Michael Jordan continued eating free at Lotus Kitchen at least once a week. He always ordered the salmon dish, the one that started everything. And Lily? She grew up healthy and strong. She volunteered at all 3 Lotus Kitchen locations through high school. And when she went to college, she studied nutrition and medicine, determined to help people just like her mother had. Because that's what happens when someone believes in you. You don't just change, you bloom. And then you help others bloom too. That's the real answer to Rosa's request for a raise. Michael didn't just change her life. He changed her legacy. He changed what she could pass on to others. He changed the whole trajectory of her family's future. And that's worth more than any amount of money ever could be. So that's how Rosa's request for a raise turned into something far bigger than she ever dreamed. Michael Jordan didn't just give her more money. He gave her a whole new life and the chance to help thousands of families just like hers. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching this video from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. We love hearing from our viewers all around the world. If this story touched your heart and inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We share stories of kindness and hope because the world needs more of both. By subscribing, you're helping us spread these important messages to even more people. And don't go anywhere yet. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now for another amazing story that will inspire you. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes asking for help leads to something even better than you imagine.